Okay, guys. Hey, welcome back to another live edition here at ReelBlue Custom Rods. So today I'm going to do a couple of different things. The first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to show you. It's not going to be a long episode today, but what I did want to do is I wanted to show you a couple of just TTPs or tactics, techniques, and procedures for a couple of different things, and we can talk about it if you guys want. And but I thought I would share a few things with you guys. So the first thing is this is that bait net that I've been working on. You guys see me posting. And so what I wanted to do was talk about a couple of things that I've done here in preparation. Let me grab myself a pointer, and I wanted to point out how I do a couple of different things and why I do them per se, if you will. And welcome to whoever the first person is that's joined the live stream today. So if I hold up this bait net here, you can see there's a couple of different things, right? So I have just some regular thread wrapping that took place here. Then we had some, an under wrap, and then we had decorative wrap on top of that over here. So naturally, where you tie that off with an overwrap, it gets to be a little bit thicker. And it's hard to show on the live video here, but you can see that there is a bit of, I guess maybe a ramp here where we kind of transition from this darker green thread where we secured these decorative wraps, and there you get kind of this ramp thing. So one of the things that I like to do, and what I did prior to laying the other coat down here in preparation for today's video is, so because I went longer than about 3 days between coats of finish, I was waiting for some new decals to come in, which I'll show you here in a second. What I did is I went in and roughed it up with just a regular 3M green pad, which you guys have seen me do before. And then now what I'm going to do, and then after I did that, what I did was I laid another coat of finish from here up to the thread, to the dark green thread wrap right there, just past that metallic magenta and the green right here. And the reason why I did that is I just laid one coat of finish there to raise that working surface up to level it out a little bit here. And then what I'll do is I'll lay the decal on, which I'm getting ready to do here in a second. I'll lay that decal on. I'll let this bait net sit for a while. And then what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll lay another coat of finish over just on top of that. That will level this bottom portion out essentially with this part, this fatter part of the thread wrap, because we were actually wrapping over decorative wrap, like I said here, and we weren't doing that here. And then when I lay that next whole bit of finish down from here to here, then we'll have one even layer of finish. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is, in a very long drawn out way, is that if your finish is uneven down here because of something like a decorative wrap where you have more thread wrap here versus here, you don't necessarily need to keep laying finish over the entire part of the rod or the blank or whatever you're working on to get it to level out. You can come back and just work part of it until you get it to where you want it to be at, and then continue the rest. So you can do that. And so I just want to make sure you guys were tracking that. So I hope that little bit of a tip helps. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set that aside. So these were what I was waiting to come in. So these are my new decals that I just ordered, a full sheet. These are metallic green. I've used these on a couple of rod builds just as one-off decals, but I've been using a lot of them lately, or a few of them lately. So I just figured I might as well go and just get me a sheet of them, which I did. If you are curious about decals, and you don't have to be a business to have decals made for you if you want to have some cool custom decals made. And if you fall in that category, or even if you are a business, or you're working your side hustle and doing some decals and you want some legit looking decals, the place to go, man, prepare to copy, is Decal Connection. That is the place to go. And whoever gave me a thumbs up, thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully we get a few more. But Decal Connection out of Clarksville, Tennessee, is where you want to go to get your decals made. They do a great job. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've already got this rod here, or this bait net here, you know, where I did that finish for the decal. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in, going to use my little scissors right here. These Bad Mama Jammas are pretty legit. I got these off of Amazon. They're a lot better than the standard ones you guys would get, you know, if you bought a rod building kit or whatever from Mudhole. And they come in a 3-pack, and they're really good in my opinion. So all I'm doing is I'm going down and I'm cutting the decal. All right, and I'll set that aside. And then I don't need that. And what I'm going to do is, so this is the top part, right? So this is the green part of my decal. The back side, you can see it's silver. If you've never, and just in case you've never worked with decals, if you have, great. If you haven't, these are 2-part decals. So the decal lies between, thanks Michael, I appreciate it. So the decal lies between the upper part and the bottom part. And so what you do is you peel the back off of the decal, peel the back off, and then once you adhere the decal down, you peel the top part off, and then that's how you get your decal to stay. So I cut out my individual decal that I'm going to use. Another little pro tip you guys may or may not have seen me do is I like to come out and kind of line up my decal really off of the top part of where the letters, where it reads ReelBlue at. So I like to just kind of come in there, because that's kind of the center of my decal. So I just put my ruler down. And set that aside. So I just make that one mark across the top of there. And I do this in an effort to help me find center on my rod, bait net, gaff, whatever it is you're building. So if I'm laying something and I want the line to be, you know, horizontal or vertical to the build, horizontal this way, vertical, I just want it to be in line with the build, I'll do it that way. Sometimes I've done it this way as well, you know, where I just kind of make sure it's level with the winding check or the top of the handle. But that is a technique that I used for that. So I just thought I would share that if you had not seen me do that before. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just laying this down where I want it at, and then I'm going to take a piece of regular magic tape or Scotch tape, and then I'm going to take that tape front, back. I'm going to apply it to the back, just like that. And kind of get the tape to get a good bond to that. And then what I like to do is come in and peel that top part off, and I'll just take this and set it to the side. And then I'll rotate my decal over. And then all I'm wanting to do, and I'm just trying to make sure I get this to not move on me. So bear with me. That's good right there. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my decal and I'm going to come in. I'm looking for the center. I feel like that's it about there. And then I'll just take a look. Yeah, I think that's okay. So now I'm just going to take my burnishing tool. Pack this down. And then the only thing about using marker is that stuff will like to stick on the back of your burnishing tool. And then I'll just
Yeah, see, I got a little bit of that red on that finish right there, but that's okay. Use my finger to take it off. And I'm just using the burnishing tool to smooth that out. And then I just peel off the top part. And then that is my decal. So that's how I like to lay my decals on, again, rods, gaffs. In this case, bait net, just without the bait net, part on the top for right now. But that's how I like to do that. And I don't know if it is a true thing. I just feel very, I feel very paranoid sometimes. Maybe not paranoid, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like when you take and you peel the top of the decal off, I feel like the sticker's hot essentially. And what I mean by that is when you peel that decal off, I feel that there's enough static electricity that's created on there that it doesn't allow your hot finish to sit on it right and level out properly. So I never put a decal on and go right to the dryer and start putting finish on it. I let the decal set for at least a full day, to be honest. So I put the decal on tonight. That means I'm not putting the next coat of finish over this until tomorrow night at the earliest. So that's just something that I do, and I thought I'd share that with you. I don't know if any of you guys do that, but that's just something that I feel like has happened, or I feel like that's the process with me. So all right, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about. So this here is a blank. This is a downrigging, or excuse me, this is a slow pitch jigging blank. And I wanted to talk about a few things and maybe give you guys a couple of pro tips and it's something you could put in your kit bag. That's something I never would have thought of regarding the static electricity after remove decal. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it never fails. Like I'll peel the decal off, and if I go right to the finish will go on and lay on it smooth, right? Let me grab that really quick. So the finish will go on it and lay on it when you put it on, but as it rotates, that static electricity, I feel like it moves. It doesn't allow that finish to just grab onto the top surface of the decal, so it just moves around, and then you end up getting a few bumps, which you have to level out with more coats of finish, of course. So that way I just let it set, man. And before I talk about that slow pitch jigging rod, I just thought I'd give you guys an update. So this is that ice rod that you guys saw me do last week in the live video, where I added the black metallic thread up here on the top on the overwrap of this glow in the dark thread that I used. But that is what that is coming out to look like. So I need one more coat of finish on this decorative portion, and then I'll get into adding the rest of the finish. You can see this is these wicked flexible ice rods, super freaking noodly. Really good thing. So. And I see your comment there for very interesting, and I agree. I think it is. All right, so let's talk about slow pitch jigging rods, right? So this is a slow pitch jigging blank, and really, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. I wanted to talk to you about why I chose this particular blank when it comes to weight, and I also wanted to talk to you about the handle that I'm going to put on this, and I also wanted to talk to you about handle placement and where I think, or really not what I think, but like my method to the madness on where I determine reel seat placement on a blank. You guys may have, you guys just may, hey, diddle, tanks up the middle, kind of throw it on there. You may have, you may be like me, where you have a specific method to your madness on how far, or how far from the tip or how far from the butt your reel seat is going to be. and some people don't. And so that's why I just thought I would share with you guys, my technique. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, great. And if you have a method that you like that's different from mine, I would love for you to share it with the community tab so people that are watching the video and reading the comments below could see whatever that technique is. So let's talk about why I picked the blank. All right. I'm going to tell you what brand of blanks I use predominantly. I know a lot of people wouldn't probably tell you that, but I'm going to tell you, and there's a reason to it. I use a lot of different blanks, to be fully transparent, but I would tell you 80% of my builds are going to be on MHX blanks. I feel like some people, and we all have different experiences with the brand of blanks we use, right? And that's totally fine. But I feel like MHX has done me right. And what I mean by that is MHX blanks, and just a reminder, like I build everything from ultralight rods to, a rod we can land, pull a school bus up from the bottom of the ocean. All right, Tom, and you like them too. So they have, knock on wood, MHX has never failed me, man. And, when it comes to building rods and putting rods in customers' hands, MHX has done great. And I think they have some great products. So this is the MHX slow pitch jigging blank. And really when you're choosing your blank, because there's a lot of options, I believe for this particular blank, they've got like 14, I think there's 14 options that MHX has for the slow pitch jigging blank. What are your thoughts on, I didn't see it, my thoughts on something rods. I'm sorry, I didn't see it before it faded away. So the, what the hell was I saying? I haven't tried MHX yet, but I really would love to build light pitch slow. All right, flutter spoon jigging, yeah, I mean, and it's worth it, right? So they have 14, just with being on the MHX side, Vexen rods. All right, CJ, Vexen. Dude, that's a new one on me, and I'm gonna have to, I'm going to look that up if I can stop dropping stuff. I've never heard of them, man. And so Vexen rods, I'm gonna look into this. I'll look into these and I'll let you know, man. I'll put a comment in the comments block. There's another pro tip. Look at that. That's just a technique. And I'm sure you guys have done something like this before. And if you're trying to figure what that is, that's numbers of wraps for the color of the wrap by the number, or the color number. And that is how sometimes when I'm doing like big fade wraps, that is how I keep track of how many wraps I've done, especially if I'm gonna work my way in and repeat myself backwards working out. This is what I use to keep myself on point when I'm trying to do that, so I make sure it looks symmetrical. All right, so again, back to the slow pitch jigging rod. So there's 14 models of these that they have. And so how do you choose, or why did I choose this one that I have today? What I chose is the 50 to 140 gram moderate action, medium light power, slow pitch jigging blank. And the reason why that I went with the for the 50 to 140 gram, if you will, is because for two reasons really, okay, for this particular blank. When it comes to salmon fishing, and when it comes to salmon fishing here in the Pacific Northwest, if I'm jigging, I'm no deeper than 150 feet, and to be frank, I'm probably between 90 to 127 feet of water when I'm slow pitch jigging for those guys. The other reason is where I intend to run this rod through, the gamut when I'm done building it in Cabo. I am primarily slow pitch jigging between 50 and 100 feet of water for grouper, snapper, and some other stuff. So that's why I picked this out. Now, the method to the madness is in the description that I just gave you. So this is a 50 to 140 gram blank or jig blank, right? Which means that ideally for a rough start, if you will, I intend to fish 50 to 140 gram jigs between 50 and 140 feet of water. So essentially, when I'm choosing the gram weight for the lure for jigging, I'm essentially equating it to 1 gram per 1 foot of water, or 1 gram equals 1 foot of water. So if I want to fish 200 gram jigs, I'm not saying you can't fish them in 150 feet of water. You can, but if you were going to fish 200 gram jigs, you would probably want something that's going to fall where 200 grams in the blank is going to either fall at the end, the middle, or the beginning of that, if that makes any sense. And I hope that helps you guys out. So again, this is a 50 to 140 gram jig blank because I intend to fish between really, 90 and 140 feet. Whether it's salmon fishing, catching salmon fishing at, between 90 and 127, 130 foot of water, or if I'm touching the bottom in Cabo between 50 and 140 feet of water. So that's where I'm picking that out at. So the next thing I wanted to show you is the reel seat I'm going to use. So I'm going to be making a few of these, but I'm going to make one spinning one particularly for myself and a conventional one for myself, and then for my customers as well. But what I decided to go with is the Alpid, or excuse me, the Alpid, holy crap, the Alps Rapid Spin MVT Torre reel seat. So that is this reel seat right here. This is what I'm going to use, a spinning setup for this one. And oh, by the way, when I do the casting setup on this one, I am going to do a spiral wrap on that. And I know one of you viewers were asking about doing a tutorial, if you will, on a spiral wrap. So that will be one of the videos coming up in the future. But for this one, it's going to be a spinning setup. This is the reel seat that I will be using for that. Again, this is the Alps Rapid MVT Torre. Then if you care to notice or care to learn about the type of hood that I'm going to put on it, I am going to use the Alps Tech Touch Cage hood. This is the hood that I'll be using on top of it. So you got this, this blue Torre woven fiber, carbon fiber, look to the blank itself. And then I'm going to come back with this Tech Touch Cage hood and put that on top of that. So that's where we're going to go with that piece. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys, and I'm just going to take the insert out. And oh, by the way, these come with, I don't know if you guys like using these foam inserts and stuff. Some people do, some people don't. I think the jury's kind of out. I prefer to use masking tape, but I just thought I would show you it does come with those. And now my thing that I like to do. So here you can see where I have the spine of the rod, right? So I'm going to make sure as a good rod builder, I'm going to make sure that I'm maximizing the parabolic bend of the rod by getting on that spine. And so this mark right here is my spine. In the blanks that you use, can you get 9-foot rod for catfishing? You sure can. You sure can. I've done quite a few catfishing rods between the 6.5 to
oh, 9. I'll have to double check, but I think so. 6.5 to about 9 foot. And it's when you're trying to get to I don't want to say an odd size, but sometimes when you're looking at the blanks that are available, you're looking at not necessarily what the blank says or what the manufacturer says that it could be used for. Like, hey, this is a great fish for, bottom fishing, and, for this type of species or that species or that species. Sometimes what I like to do, based on what I'm looking for, what customers are looking for, is I will go in and I will look for a rod that meets the specifications that I need it to. So essentially I'm going and looking for 9-foot blanks that have the specifications that I need it to have in order to be a good catfish rod, if that makes sense. And I hope that answers your question. So I have the parabolic bend marked right here, and then this mark right here is my last guide. So this is where, or depending on how you look at it, the first guide. So here to the right, down here, this way is going to be the butt of the rod, and to the left is the tip of the rod. Right. So this is going to be from the reel seat. This mark right here would be my first guide. So how do I determine where my reel seat is going to sit on here, right? And keeping this in mind, right? Slow pitch jigging rods really in general are really minimalistic rods. There's not going to be a lot of stuff on them. There can be some decorative wraps, there can be some different things, but they're very minimalistic. You're welcome, Michael. They're very minimalistic. People usually kind of staying away from cork and some other stuff, usually going with EVA foam or some sort of grip material that is going to, be able to support the bend of the rod, right? Because these slow pitch jigging rods, there's going to be some serious bend in these things. And so a lot of times you're going to have your butt end down here, and you're going to have your reel seat and possibly a foregrip if you have a casting rod, maybe a small foregrip up here, but you're going to get a lot of bend in that rod. And so usually what you're going to see is like what I showed you on here. You're going to see something maybe not necessarily, because this one is spinning, I'm going with the Tech Touch, right? So you're going to see the Tech Touch hood on this one. But if this was a casting rod, this would be the same thing, but with a small EVA foam that's going to lock that hood down. I wouldn't have a foregrip on there, and I'm using really the reel seat and the trigger notch in that reel seat and the reel to leverage up the rod while I'm fighting that fish, if you will. So a very minimalistic rod in general. For the most part. But how do I determine where this reel seat is going to be in line with this last guide? And again, like I was saying, you guys may have an answer to that. You may not have an answer to it. I'm gonna give you my methodology behind it, and I hope it helps you. And if it doesn't, that's fine. But again, if you guys have a different technique, I'm all ears, and please share it with the community down in the comments block. So what I like to do, pull out a tape measure. All right, and this is how I determine where I'm going to be at. And again, everybody is different, and that's okay. So right here. So I know the tape measure is upside down, but that's okay. So any rod that I build, I am never more than 21 inches from the first guide to the center of the reel seat. I'm never more than 21 inches. And I'm always going to be usually around the 19-inch mark. That is just me. So I like to look at the 19 to 21 inch mark. Sometimes I might go just a tad bit less. And let me slide this down so I can show you guys.
So 19. So there. So here's my tape measure set on 19 at my last guide. So then what I can do is I can come in with my reel seat and I can have that set up right there. And that will be to my first guide, right? Especially in a spinning setup. I might get a little closer if this was a casting setup. I might even go somewhere around the 18 to 17 mark. But because this is a spinning setup, I'm going to be somewhere right about here, which I think is going to be center mass on my reel. And then I'll have, you know, my rear grip, and then whatever I've got going on here, and then up to my first guide. Actually, excuse me, that's a little too far. That was 21 inches. Look at that. There we go. So that's about 19 right there. Center. That's 19. Center of the what would end up being essentially your reel, right across that one part there. So that's how I determine where I'm going to put a reel seat. And again, if you guys use a different technique, I'd love to hear it. And I hope this helps. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to let me know. So to recap, we talked about, I kind of showed you guys some troubleshooting. So if you guys were late to join, I encourage you to come back and watch this when it's done airing. Just watch the beginning part and catch up with the parts that you missed. We talked about unevenness portions of your finish and kind of how I look at leveling pieces out. Showed you guys my new green decals that just came, my new green ReelBlue Custom Rod logo decals that I just got in. I showed you my technique on how to add a decal and keep it centered every time you do it. It's pretty much a no-fail solution to adding decals to your builds. And then I talked about, you know, why I chose a 50 to 140 gram and how you can choose if you want to build a slow pitch jigging rod, things for you to keep in mind when you're choosing that blank that you want to use, right? And again, I'll just talk about it one last time. 1 gram of lure weight equals 1 foot in depth of water, right? And then lastly, my reel seat placement, how I figure out where I'm going to place my reel seats on my builds. Usually anywhere between 19 to 21 inches is where I'm always going to be at when I'm doing that. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys were able to get something out of it. If you did, please give me the thumbs up and the like button. Again, I hope you like it. Make sure you guys watch. Again, I'll get this cleaned up once it's done loading up. I'll get it cleaned up a little bit. But please, if you have questions, answer some or leave questions for me down there below in the comments block. I will make sure I answer them for you. And make sure you guys watch this next video here. Until next time, guys. Talk to you guys later. Take care, man. Bye.